paving the street, they have the tiles, and then what they do is they sprinkle the sand everywhere, right? And the sand, I guess the pshat is that it eventually finds its way in to the cracks in between. I guess that's the pshat why they do it. And eventually maybe they hope it rains or something and it solidifies, whatever it may be. I don't know the lomdus exactly how it works, why they do that. But al kaponim, if you see a guy ever with his foot kicking some sand into the hole in between the two tiles, that's an issa d'oraisa. You have a chiyuv to kill the guy. It's probably how it is. Because it's chayiv. Well, of course you warned him. Why would you not warn him? He's your friend, right? You want to help him out. So how you warned him? Mamela, you chayiv misa for such a thing. Simple thing, simple act. Taking some sand, right? Aaron Dov, you must him, right? Just kicking it in between the two tiles. It's issa d'oraisa, boneh. Issa d'oraisa, boneh. You're building. It's an amazing thing. Whoever thought such a thing. Let's move on. Okay, moving on, Rabbi Say. In Eretz Yisrael, we're going to have so many more gewaltige shaylas. So you've seen, for example, you don't have in your rooms, right? You don't have a tris in your room, right? They have a tris in the room? Wow. No, in the new building, actually, yeah? In the new building will have tris? Yeah. Okay. Anybody? Electric and manual for Shabbos. If anybody's listening to the share and wants to donate a new building, you'll know how to find me. Okay, fine. / A tris it goes on a string, and you pull it down and it comes down and it's a shade and it covers the window, okay? Now, very, very often it gets stuck, which is a whole different shayla. What's the halacha if it gets stuck? But on the inside of the house, there's like a white box that sticks out that has inside it the roll of the tris, that when you pull it down, it goes down. So the problem would be, this generally is covered with like a 4 rubber pieces, and you take it off theoretically in order to fix the tris. Right? Anyone that's lived in Eretz Yisrael is very, very familiar with this. It's a normal thing to do. And the shaila is that mutar asa, according to most poskim, Mishmir Shabbos holds it's an issa d'oraisa, for a person to remove the lid, the cover on Shabbos. Why? We spoke a bit about this, I think, last time, to refresh ourselves. We talked about the idea of covers. What's the idea of lids and covers? For example, here in Eretz Yisrael, Nachal Shaila, we have a sponger hole. A sponger hole is a hole in the floor which you unscrew and you pour the water, you gather the water that you've done sponger with, you put it down, it goes under the floor, and wherever it goes, if you're lucky it goes in the pipe under the building, if you're unlucky it goes out into the street onto somebody's head. It depends on where you live. It really depends on in which apartment you have. But like a problem, that's the idea, right? So are you allowed to go along and unscrew that cover or not? So it really depends, right? The Gemara says, what? Water's grass when it goes off. Oh, very good, very good. What happens if it waters the grass when it goes out? Are you over on Zoreya when you water the grass, especially during the year of Shemitah? Are you over on Shemitah because you're not allowed to do that during the year anyway, even if it's not on Shabbos, so you have it stuck on Wednesday as well. That's Gavaldi, no? When was the last time you saw any greenery anywhere where you walk over here in Yerushalayim? Okay, what's that?
I say grama.
Grama, very nice. You're allowed to do a grama on Shabbos? Depends. Good. That was very diplomatic. Well said. Well said, Zevi. Let's move on. So that's a good question. We're not going to get into that at this moment of time. It's a good question. If we do Hilchos Zoreya, we should taka do that, right? Are you allowed to open up the shades, the curtains of your house or of your dining room, whatever? And over there you have a plant pot sitting on the shelf that's now getting direct sunlight. Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to move a vase of flowers, right? If there's water in there, which could cause the flowers to grow more when they're in there or open up, which is a whole different shayla. Rabbi, so we'll talk about that maybe when we get to Hilchos Zoreya. Are you with me? Okay. Moving on. A hole in the drain, right? The sponger hole. Are you allowed to unscrew that now, or is it considered to be boneh? It's a big enough gemina. Right, speaking of let's say, for example, someone spilled something, right? It's right near the hole. Oh, machaya. So I'll pour some water. I'll just schlep it inside. Obviously not with a shmata chas v'shulam. No one's going to be using a shmata on Shabbos Kodesh. But we're talking about a situation where you just take a sponger, the sponger stick, which is rubber, doesn't absorb anything, so there's no problem of skita, and they're going to put it into the hole. So the nafkamina is like this. The nafkamina is whether it has a handle or does not have a handle. The Gemara tells us that anything that has a handle, it's muchach olav, that it's made to open and close. And therefore it's not considered to be that a moisif ala binyan. What we left off, if you remember, last week discussing, was not only are you over on boneh when you actually build something from scratch, but even if you're moisif ala binyan, that means even if you are adding to a pre-existing structure, anything that you're adding to that structure would be problematic in that way. An electric box, for example, in many houses here in Eretz Yisrael, I don't know in America, but in Eretz Yisrael for sure, you have these little plastic, like a box, it's covered with a plastic thing, you open and close it, if there's one of the things go down, the electric things, you need to open it to close it, put up and down, the Shabbos clock maybe is in there, whatever. So that's going to be mutter, because again, that's made to open and close, and that would be no problem whatsoever. Let me give you some examples of poshut ideas, just to remember about Moisav and Abinyan that could be Nageya, which we're dealing with is Shaila of an Issa Da'oraisa. We're dealing with Gzeiras. This is no Gzeira Shema, you're going to come and build a raft. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with an Issa Da'oraisa. Poshut Issa Da'oraisa on Shabbos Kodesh. So for example, if there's a nail that's in the wall, or in a door, or in a window, and it's coming loose. So you tighten that. That's called Moisef al Abinyan. That's an Issa D'oraisa. If a doorknob came off, right? I don't know, this is like a thing of Eretz Yisrael. It's Kavaldig Azach, Baruch Hashem, Eretz Yisrael Nikna B'Yisurim. In America, I never saw a door handle come off. Right? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen that way. Handles of doors normally stay on. Here in Eretz Yisrael, it's a Kavaldig Azikah, where I have Rabbim. The Boneh is Mazakas to know Hilchos Boneh. So the door handle, the pusher comes off. Now, how many times in that door handle over there did it come off, right? Right? This is Mitzias, right? We don't even have a door handle. We don't keep on there. No, I saw a new one now. This is a good one, this one. This is a good one, by the way. Akaponim, to put a door handle, to stick it in, right? You have the piece, it came out the dining room, I think, very often, right? Because people think knocking very lightly for lunch is going to get them lunch quicker. Apparently, that's how it works, right? So you take the handle, or the handle comes off, to simply insert it back in is called Boneh. I'm not screwing it back in. The fact that you're putting it there is going to be a problem. A sink handle, let's just get to all the examples. A sink handle could also be a problem, right? Just putting it on there could be a problematic. Obviously, a bulb, replacing a bulb, that's no shaila whatsoever, that's a no-brainer, that's obviously going to be asa. What about, for example, a toy that is stuck to a place, or anything that is stuck to a place through suction? So, for example, you have these things that are through suction, they stick on something. You have it in your car, your windshield sometimes, to hold the phone. You have it in the house sometimes with a bulletin board, all these sorts of things. That would be Moisef al Abinyan to put that on, because it's going to stay in that place. If a shelf, yes, unless it's made to come on and off the whole time, that's something else. Something that's meant to stay there. And the only reason it's on is through suction, because you don't want to mess with the window, whatever it may be. Now, if a shelf comes off of this is very negative, we've had it in yeshiva a few times. Baruch Hashem, the Olim using a lot of Sforim. So sometimes, you put Sforim on, the shelf comes down. So what's the big deal? I'll just put the shelf back on. What's the big deal? We'll just give you skila. I guess it goes both ways, right? It's all the same. You can't put a shelf on the thing on Shabbos Kodesh, because again, a shelf is a shaila of Boneh, and therefore binyan b'kelim, whatever, maybe it's screwed in. So it's Moisef al Abinyan also daraisa, and that could be problematic in that case. By the way, also something that poshut people don't think about, right? Again, Baruch Hashem, in Eretz Yisrael we don't really have the shaila, but in America you have something called carpet. I say America, but obviously I'm talking about England as well. Don't get insulted, it's okay. Right? You have carpet there also. What's the din if you have a corner of the carpet that comes off? So a natural reaction when you see a corner of a carpet, I'm not talking about a rug. I'm not talking about a rug in the middle of the room. I'm talking about a wall-to-wall carpet, right? So you go to the corner and you see it's coming out. So what do, right? You just push it with your foot, you stick it back in. Haha, very good. Skila, Rabbi said. That's an Issa D'oraisa of Boneh on Shabbos Kodesh. Because it's mavatal to the karka. It's called Boneh when you go along and put it. I'm not talking about a rug. I'm talking about carpet, mamish, in that case over there. Rabbi say, a door on hinges, I don't think there's much to talk about. That's a davar poshut. A window that comes off is a davar poshut as well. A mezuzah, by the way. A mezuzah also cannot be placed back onto its mokoim, even if you're not even screwing it back in, if it's like a holder there or something holding it in. I asked Rafal one time, what happens if only the cloth comes out? Right? The cloth is muktzah, but anyway, whatever it is, if it's on the floor, obviously you can pick it up, bizoyin. But are you allowed, for example, to put the cloth, as the case is still there, just the cloth came out, right? The cloth, the piece where the Shema is written, are you allowed to just simply put the parchment back into the case? And they told me, no, you shouldn't do that. Because again, you're mavatal it over there, that's called Moisef al Abinyan. Yeah, I'll explain it. That's what Rafal told me. Magnets that are on your fridge are not called Boneh. They're not called Moisef al Abinyan. Even if you collect magnets from all the various wonderful places that yeshiva take you to, and you want to remember all of the trips throughout the years that you've gone to, so you have all these magnets, right? They come off, the kids pulls them off, you're allowed to put them back on. That is not a problem whatsoever, Rabbi said. We have to finish, but I just want to finish maybe with one last halacha, and that is negay to things that are made to open and close. For example, you have toilet roll holders, which the way of filling up the toilet roll is by everyone works differently, but the way is take off the stick, whatever it is, put the toilet paper on and stick it back on. That's not called moisev al binyan, right? And we'll talk maybe more about this. Something that's made to open and close and to sort of reassemble and assemble is okay. For example, we spoke about it once, or maybe we didn't even, by the salt shaker, right? To open up the salt shaker and fill it with salt and then to re-screw it back on is not a problem. Why? Because it would be broken to me if I wasn't able to unscrew it, because the whole mahalach of the shemesh of that item is through pouring the salt in, which is taking it off. And therefore, I will not be able to fill up toilet paper if it's broken and it's stuck on there, and therefore that's why it's mutter to be able to do that. And the same thing is, you have these gates for kids not to go down the staircase. You're going to, go on hinges. You have foldable and collapsible beds, tables, chairs. All of these things are generally mutter. Obviously, there may be some exceptions if there's screws involved. But one last thing, Rabbi Isai, is a photo on the wall. What is the halacha? If you have a picture frame, you have a nice frame of a nice gadol hador, and it's sitting on the wall, and the kids come and they take it off. What is the din in such a case? Do we say that putting it back, leave out muktzah machos chasar and kiss, the Mishnah in the beginning of Shenches discusses whether makavei lo mokim sikimel is considered to be, a problem of muktzah machos chasar and kiss. Leave out the muktzah for the moment. Am I allowed to put it back in als binyan? Am I being mevatel it there or not? So Rav Moshe and Igros Moshe and Rav Elyashiv and others, they taina, that's not called moisev al binyan. It's not a problem to put it back. Could be there's a shayla of muktzah there, but there's no problem be'etzim talking about the chazan issues. What do you mean? Avad nisht. That's moisev al binyan. When you put the frame there, your intention is to leave it over there. You're moisev al binyan. So therefore I say, if the picture on the wall was Rav Moshe, you could probably put it back. If it's a picture of the chazan ish, mistam or not, have a wonderful day.